Hello and welcome to today's Appvent calendar. I have Rina from RadBee here, and hi Rina. And the Appvent calendar is something we do every week, once during Christmas time, and we introduce some nice apps and some nice features for in the whole Atlassian world. And today, yeah, it's Rina. So Rina, let's just introduce yourself.
Hi, first, thanks for having me in this event. Happy Christmas, everybody, and happy 2024. I'm the co-founder and CEO of RadBee, and I'm here in my capacity as a product manager for Jira Snapshots for Confluence.
Thanks, Rina. So I'm Christian. I'm an Atlassian expert with Swarmit, and I have the pleasure today to talk to Rina about snapshots. So Rina, can you tell something about Snapshot? What is Snapshots all about?
Yes, sure, thanks. When we were working with customers, we have realized that many people need to have static reports of Jira data. For example, status reports. If you have a status meeting every week, or you need to submit a status report every week, you want the report of Jira issues, but one that does not change the next week or the week after, because you want to be able to go back to these status reports and check them even in the future. And another classical example for the same need is when you do release documentation. When you write test reports, for example, you want to show Jira data as it is now. So Jira Snapshots is a very neat and easy way to get these type of static reports right inside your Confluence pages. So you can, with one click, define a status report, traceability matrix, test report, what have you, and you don't need to do all the convoluted ways of exporting Excels or exporting PDFs or Word documents from Jira and then attaching them to Confluence pages. And as mentioned,
that sounds really interesting.
Yes, and we started it by seeing indeed that our users as customers need it, and then we grew it and extended it to be a marketplace app. It started as a data center app, but very shortly afterwards, we have a cloud version, and currently the cloud and the data center version are basically feature parity. The only small nuance there is that in cloud, the support for Xray is separate to a different app, so you'll need to install Jira Snapshots for Confluence and Jira Snapshots traceability extensions as well. And we'll show it here in the demo too. And indeed, in the context of Xray, Jira Snapshots is very powerful because, of course, Xray is a great testing tool. It brings together developers and testers. And with Jira Snapshots, you basically increase the collaboration cycle because you take it all the way from testers, developers, and also stakeholders that are typically more comfortable in Confluence and want to see the reports in a more friendly way.
That sounds cool. Indeed, release documentation and test reports can be very time-consuming, especially in enterprise settings and formal environments. Can you show me how Jira Snapshots can be used to speed them up?
Yes, sure. So I'll now share my screen. Let me see how it works. Yes, show, thanks. Yes, show my screen. Okay, great. So you should see now a Confluence page with a snapshot report. So this table here is basically static data that was taken from Jira a few hours ago when I was preparing for this presentation. And each row here is data from Jira. But if you check the data in Jira, it's not the data that we have now. So if you look at the summary of this issue, it says detailed case review, But here, there's nothing like that. The summary is still as it was a few hours ago, just because I did not refresh the snapshot, and that actually is an example to illustrate the fact that the data here is really static data, not the current data in Jira. But if I wanted to refresh it, so let's assume that I have now a good reason to want to take fresh data, the only thing I need to do is basically press this button, take new snapshot. Behind the scene, Jira Snapshots goes to Jira, fetches the data, puts it in Confluence, and builds the table here. And now we will have the table with the fresh data, just the way that it shows up. And here we have the new up-to-date summary, as well as an up-to-date timestamp. So the timestamp is of the one that is now, and the new version of the page was just created. And let's imagine that I am curious to know what's the difference between now and what I had before. The only thing that I need to do is to compare the two snapshots. And we have a very cool div feature that just highlights the differences. And imagine that persons that need to review release documentation, this is invaluable to them because it's really a time saver. Now let us look at a more sophisticated report, a traceability report. I'm opening it. Actually, I have it already open here. This is, again, a snapshot table, but this time it's a hierarchical one. We have the requirements on the left, then the design specification. So we have built a certain hierarchy in Jira. I will show you in a second. And then this design specification is covered by a test case. And we can see also the test run information for this test case. So we have all the traceability from the very top to the bottom as it is reflected in, or as it reflects the Jira hierarchy. So if I look in Jira, this issue is basically tracing down to 4 stories. Each of the stories on its turn is covered by test. And then the tests are further down executed, and we have test results. And all this is now reflected here by a single snapshot. A quick look at how snapshots are configured. I'll start with a simple one. So back to the requirement specification. When I edit the page, each snapshot is a single macro. This is this macro, Jira Snapshot. And when I open the configuration screen for this macro, you'll see it's very generic. First of all, it's a no-code automation because it doesn't require any scripting or code. It totally relies on JQL, which is the native Jira search way. So if we take this JQL and plug it into Jira, Jira will search and find exactly the same set of issues. And that gives us huge power because it's totally configurable and we can be very precise at the issues that we bring. And then the list of fields, we control totally what appears in each of the column just by selecting the field and putting it in the right place for us in this table. And the fields that are supported would be basically any field that is existing in your Jira instance. So that's the few minutes intro to Jira Snapshots.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Thanks. I have another question. It was interesting to see the traceability report. Can you show this in more details? Another topic that is very strong trend at the moment is the test, despite the huge time savings in the test time. We see a challenge of how to connect test automation and traceability, and even more in general, with more and more operations becoming automatic. How is Snapshots playing their bit?
Yes, thanks. That's a great question. So let's look one moment on the traceability report, see how it is configured, and then look at actually how it helps also with all the DevOps and test automation. So first thing first, let's open this one, which had to remind us 4 levels: the requirements, design specifications, test cases, and test runs. And once we edit the page, and we have, again, a single Jira snapshot macro, the same macro actually, but with a slightly different configuration. And let's open the configuration screen. First of all, we'll see that there are 4 levels here, and we could have as many levels as we wanted. Yes, we have in production people who do that or configure traceability with 8 levels. That works as well. As long as the last level is test runs, and beyond test runs, we cannot add a new level. Now, the first level is configured exactly as I showed with a classical JQL. The other levels are configured with a classical JQL and a reference to the previous level. So, and this reference here is the $sign. So it filters a certain type of issues, only bugs and stories, but it also requires them to be linked to the previous level. And that is actually what brings the connection between the first level and the second level. And that you can build on that and do exactly the same for any subsequent level until you get to test runs. And in the case of test runs, because test runs are not Jira issues, they cannot be retrieved via JQL, we created a set of filters that is specifically tailored for test runs. So you can select whether you want to have all the test runs or only the latest, based on a certain fixed version or based on a certain test environment. And that actually ensures that only the applicable test runs are brought into your traceability. Now, in regards to automation, the beauty here is that if you use Xray, Xray already does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Because in Xray, automatic tests are first type citizens, so they are structured exactly in the same way that manual tests. So I'll open this one, which is, I can see here, it's a generic test, which is Xray language to indicate an automatic test. It exists in Xray because if you connect your DevOps cycle into Xray, you will be having those definitions there and all the results. And if you import all the results to Xray, or the relevant results of the automatic test into Xray, then from Snapshot's point of view, it's exactly like any other test, and it can cover requirements exactly with the same technique. So just by linking the automatic test into the stories and the requirements, you will have them show up in this traceability report.
Cool. I think that's really a nice thing, because I had the same issues in several times in the past, and I was looking for things like this, especially with the snapshots for this. I think this is really a nice feature and something that people are looking for. Yeah, so thank you very much for that insight to snapshots.
Thank you.
So I think, yeah, we had some time to present this. Rina, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to have you here and to have you in this format. And I wish you a very Merry Christmas time. And
thank you. You too.
Yeah, and see you soon. And yeah, hope to have the pleasure again next year with you.
Okay, see you in 2024.
All right, see you there. Bye, Rina. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.